I saw these kids start to melt a little, feel emotions, be vulnerable, and start to really feel appreciative of the relationship and connection they were having with the horses. And so I think, yeah, just seeing the impact it had so quickly, and I really think it's just the nature of them and the relationship that we have is somehow unique.
Horses do so much for us as people, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, all of those factors. It kind of forces you to be real with your authentic self, because you can't lie to a horse. You can't sort of hide behind a mask with the horse. They will call your bluff.
Most of this work is for horses to be themselves. It's about the relationship and the connection with them. And so horses that can no longer be ridden or this is their second career, and now they have a place in our society again.
Success ultimately is a world where no one has to suffer or endure a situation that perhaps this kind of mental health service could benefit. And, the flip side of that then is that, there's no horse that doesn't have the opportunity for a great life and a great career.
There are healers on this planet with the power to soften the suffering of mankind, yet they have remained in the recesses of the world, abused, discarded, and labeled as trash. This is The Touch of a Mustang. I am your host, Shalise Clough, and I'm here to tell the story of wild horses, Mustangs, and the humans who are discovering and sharing their gifts while working to protect their well-being and preserve their spirit, so this divine power won't be lost. Join us on this quest with the Wild Mustang.
My name is Jen Blanchard, and I am the head of marketing for the equine division of Zoetis, which is the world's largest fully dedicated animal health company. You may know us for products like Dormosidan or Quest dewormer, maybe ProStride, a lameness solution, or vaccines like Core EQ Innovator and FluVac Innovator. But our equine business has a team of more than 50 professionals fully dedicated to serving the horse and the horse's caregivers across the continuum of care and the continuum of a horse's life.
I'm Lynn Thomas, and I'm a mental health professional that got involved with incorporating horses in mental health services about 30 years ago. And that led me on a journey of co-founding an organization that trains and certifies professionals around the world. I did that for 21 years. And then in 2021, decided to follow a new passion that I had of horses for mental health, and started that organization, which is all about supporting these programs that are providing these services around the world to give more resources and also spread awareness, because there's a lot of people out there that don't know about the powerful impact horses can have for mental health, and that these programs exist and that they can help people transform in ways that maybe other types of settings and regular traditional therapy may not be as effective for them. But these programs are really making a difference for people in their communities. And so co-founded this organization, Horses for Mental Health, to elevate awareness and to support these programs, and also co-founded another organization called Arenas for Change Arch, which also provides additional training and education for professionals doing this type of work.
It's been really neat to see this work spread. It has been in the background, little known for a long time, I think. But with social media and just times changing, I think it's becoming more common that more people know about the power that horses can have to help humans in our lives. But what is the thing that led both of you to put time and energy and backing behind this idea that horses are these catalysts for helping humans have a better life, as far as particularly our mental state of being?
I actually like sharing that I did not have a horse background. I grew up in the city. I knew nothing about horses except for I went to a Girl Scout camp one time and there were some horses and we got a horse badge. But outside of that, I had no exposure. I happened to have the opportunity to get involved with wilderness therapy type programs where we incorporated nature and hiking and survival skills and that type of thing. And I saw the power of doing versus just talking, and the power of nature. And then I had the opportunity to work at an at-risk youth program that was a residential setting for troubled youth that had horses in the program. And that's where I got introduced to how powerful horses are in changing lives. And so I really came at this from not having any background and knowledge to seeing and so I wasn't motivated. Like, I love horses. I wasn't motivated by that. What I ended up experiencing was, oh my gosh, these animals have an impact on us in a way I've never experienced in any other setting. And that, of course, ended up changing the trajectory of my life, because now I have devoted 30 years of my life to spreading awareness of the power that horses have for us humans in general, and of course in mental health services. And so that's really what introduced me, was just seeing how these horses just played such an incredible impact.
What are some of the things you saw at that youth camp that kind of gave you that perspective that this could really be a significant addition to the mental health world?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I would say first, the horses have a different kind of relationship than I would say other animals. I mean, I think all animals are valuable and have an impact, and nature in general does. I'm a big believer in all of that. And horses are unique. I think one, it's their size. So going into a relationship where you don't feel like you have the power, I think puts us in a place of humility and ability to look at ourselves that is different. But I also think horses, because of their nature, just being really in tune with their environment and responding to the messages we're always sending, in a way that I think maybe, again, other animals aren't doing so much. It gives us such incredible feedback. So I saw these youth, where they have all the walls up, and I guess it's all ages that we all have our walls up, but they have such thick walls up of protecting themselves and their own, over time. That's what you have to learn to survive in the world, and to see how these horses would help break through those walls and a lot more quickly. I mean, we could sometimes get through there eventually, but gosh, in a 1 hour session with these horses, I saw these kids start to melt a little, feel emotions, be vulnerable, and start to really feel appreciative of the relationship and connection they were having with the horses. And so I think, yeah, just seeing the impact it had so quickly. And I really think it's just the nature of them, and the relationship that we have is somehow unique. I do believe that.
Was there any specific interaction that you particularly remember?
From those days, oh gosh, I was thinking back from a long time ago. But I will say, this was a good example, I think, of, we were working with the parents, because we also worked with the families and the kids. And in this case, this horse that they were trying to get this horse to move around in a round pen, kind of, and the horse wasn't going to move. It's like, no, I do not believe that you mean what you're saying. And I think it was so interesting. The mother, at one point, they were getting very frustrated, and it felt exactly like parenting their child. Like, our kid doesn't listen to us, doesn't do what we say, and putting all these labels like stubborn and rebellious and those kinds of things. But it was interesting is when she kind of got herself in a different place, and she picked up this small little stick, and it was about the size, I mean, it was a twig. It wasn't even, I don't even know if you could call it a stick. It was like the size of her hand. And she somehow got this in her hand, and all of a sudden she felt this confidence, like somehow this stick had magical powers. But she felt that more confidence, where she was able to say, no, this is what I really need. I need you to do this now in this relationship. And the horse then listened to her. And it was so subtle and so small that the horse picked up just that little of a change in her, that he would then start saying, okay, now I trust you. Now I believe you. And I think then being able to get in touch with that, if I said to her, I said, if you need to take this little twig home with you, if that helps.
Yeah.
But really, of course, it's not about the twig. It was about getting in touch with that side of herself that is the confident, secure person of herself. That is what mattered.
Yeah, a lot about perspective. And Jen, how about you? What has encouraged, or what is the mission behind Zoetis, whose name I practiced a lot to get it right? Why have you guys decided to put this backing into promoting the power that horses have to help individuals with their mind, our mental health.
Yeah. Our purpose in the equine division at Zoetis is to really stand always by the side of horses and their caregivers. And I think that comes out of this sense of respect for the reciprocity of care between horses and humans. We know that horses do so much for us as people, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, all of those factors, which of course can roll into equine assisted services and mental health services. And so, in return, obviously, because horses do all this for us, we owe them the very best care in return. And so I think the notion that, we could really put our support behind this nationwide opportunity to raise awareness for equine assisted mental health services and the positive impact that the horses in those will make on the humans, as well as then the opportunity for horses in these programs to continue to really have support and care. And hopefully as these programs grow, it'll create more opportunities for horses to be part of them. So when I think about that win-win of horses helping humans and humans helping horses that we're all about, really couldn't think of a better organization or a better cause to support in that regard.
I agree that that is so important because horses have, in a lot of ways, lost their place in our world today. But I think we have all seen that they definitely can have a very valuable role still in things that are very much needed in the world today.
I know Lynn was talking about it a little bit, but that notion, to the question of why horses, right? We know companion animals, right? They can have a positive impact on us, our cats, our dogs, but it's
Yeah.
different with horses. And there's been a lot of science. We know that there's something unique. We don't quite know what. Is it something about the electromagnetism of the horse and their heart? Is it about their respiration? We're not totally sure, but I'm also a lifelong horse person. And I know from personal experience that you have to be completely transparent when you're with a horse. There's no room for kind of emotional incongruity. If you're scared of something, the horse is going to pick up on that and they're going to be concerned. If you're angry or if you're tense, the horse is going to really mirror that. And if you're relaxed, often the horse will sort of relax into that space with you as well. And so I think part of the reason that these animals are so amazing for mental health services is that it kind of forces you to be real with your authentic self, because you can't lie to a horse. You can't sort of hide behind a mask with the horse. They will call your bluff sometimes in embarrassing ways. I jump horses, and so if I'm thinking, man, I don't want to go over that fence, I'm probably not going to go over it. But I
Not
think
the way you wanted to.
exactly. But I also think that's why, they can drive these amazing breakthroughs because all of a sudden there's no judgment. There's no sort of expectation, but there is this almost mirror of what you're feeling and how the horse responds to that in return.
Yeah, that's really interesting because I think that is probably something that pushes us to try a little harder in our own mental place to be like, actually, I do want to go over the jump or I do want to make the horse move and see what we need to adjust to accomplish whatever that thing is that we are stopping ourselves from doing with our mind. That's neat. Tell us a little bit more before we get too much farther. What is the purpose of horses for mental health? What is your guys' motivation? What do you hope to accomplish through this organization?
Yeah, well, ultimately, we want to spread awareness first and foremost. As you mentioned, there's a lot of people who don't understand horses, know about horses, have any connection with horses, and I think that's where I come in with my background of not having that either, and then seeing the light. Now I don't know, but seeing the impact that they can have in our lives, and hopefully spreading that awareness so more people know. And I think that benefits horses, it benefits the equine industry, and it benefits our communities to bring these animals back into our lives in this new way. And so first is that. The second is that we want to support these programs that are providing these services. They sacrifice a lot. Do you guys, everybody knows who's probably listening to this and knows what it takes to support horses and to provide this as part of to help their communities and stuff. It's a lot of resources to do this. Equine assisted services are actually the fastest growing niche in the equine industry. So there's a lot of interest of incorporating horses this way to benefit people and communities, and we want to support them to be successful. We want them to be hopefully more sustainable. So the more we can direct attention to, one, this is an incredible resource in your communities, and two, more funding and resources to be directed to support them so that they can do the amazing work that they're doing that benefits both horses and humans. And so we had this idea as one of the ways to go about doing this is to create a peer-to-peer campaign and do it together as an industry and get as many of the different organizations in equine assisted services to participate and in the equine industry. And we reached out to Zoetis and with this idea and this vision, and I'm just so grateful because thank you, Jen, and your team, because here we are, a newer nonprofit organization with this crazy vision to do something that actually has never been done in the equine industry before. It's been done in other social impact sectors, but in the equine industry, this was a new concept to do something like this campaign. And Zoetis just jumped on board and was willing to to jump into this idea with us, and is really who made this whole thing possible. And we can share more about what the campaign really entails, but I just wanted to first share like how we connected with Zoetis and the powerful partner they've been. And now we've been doing this for 5 years. We've had 5 annual campaigns going into our 5th year one right now that's happening. So but I'll turn it over to you, Jen, to add to all of that, and what got you guys to be willing to jump on board with this idea.
Well, thank you for the kind words, and truly the privilege and the honor is all ours. I think about what fills my cup, what fills our team's cup, and one of the best days of the year for us is every year at the end of a campaign, we get a recap. We get to see, how many organizations were impacted. We get to see, the horses that were impacted. We get to hear some of the stories of the humans that were impacted. And it often has wrapped up with a sort of thank you video with some really heartwarming messages. And I will tell you, there is not a dry eye in the house because, so much of our day to day, right? You're behind a computer, you're working in Excel, or you're on the phone, or maybe you're out calling on customers, and all of that is wonderful. But when you really get to translate that to making this tangible impact on the lives of humans and on the lives of horses, like the work that Horses for Mental Health is doing, that's why we're all here at the end of the day. So it's been really an honor to be on this journey. I remember the very early days talking with Lynn. It was almost a blank piece of paper and a big, bold vision. But I think that notion that there were so many organizations doing really important work, but at the grassroots level. And so while they may be known in their communities, trying to extend that reach is tough as individual organizations. And so being able to create a national platform where we could create that broader awareness, that we could create opportunities to raise funds and raise visibility, not just for one organization, but for the entire sector. I think that's incredibly impactful work. And obviously watching the results from that first year to where we are now has just been tremendous. And I know there's still so much runway because it's hard to imagine that there isn't someone out there that in some way, shape, or form could benefit through these services.
Yeah, and I think it's so commendable that you guys have chose to focus on an area that is really one of the barriers, I think, to having this more widespread, and that is the funding. Horses are expensive to keep. The programs take areas to run. There's not a lot of avenues for funding. A lot of these people are taking a lot of money out of their own pocket. They're doing fundraisers, using their personal properties, all different kinds of ways that people are sharing this with others. But it is a little bit of an uphill battle from the financial side. And it is not an easy thing for a lot of these organizations to do. But as I think you've both seen the work they do, and I've also seen just the incredible impact that these horses can have. So to be able to contribute in that way where we're helping with the financial areas, because as much as it would be great to just feel good in life and for the things that are really effective to be the things that are also having the financial resources they need, that's not always the reality. And so I think funding, and maybe tell me also what you guys have seen, can be one of the biggest barriers to these programs expanding further.
Yeah, I mean, definitely funding is always probably the top. A lot of these programs do have maybe facilities and ranches or things where they might already have had horses, and yet to upkeep them and all the logistical needs. I would say too is the awareness element. There are a lot of people who don't know about this and they don't understand it. So even in, getting the word out there about these programs that could use support, I think the first other challenge to overcome is that people to even understand what they are. They do think it's like, oh, it's a program providing writing lessons down the road. These are actually programs that have trained professionals specifically in working with mental health or personal growth services. So they have mental health professionals, they have life coaches, they have educators, they have different people that are specifically involved to support the needs that people are coming with, which they're coming with really critical, challenging situations that they're going through in their life, from depression and anxiety and trauma and suicidal tendencies or addictions and just burnout, intense burnout. I mean, there's a lot happening in the
Yeah.
world, and it is a mental health crisis we are in that has been defined as such. And I think, like Jen was saying, we all know people either in our own life, ourselves even, or in our lives, are people we care about that are struggling. And the reason these programs are doing this is because they see it work. I mean, it would be so much easier for me to sit in an office and talk with people. That'd be a lot less expensive, a lot more
Yeah.
convenient, yet
Mm-hmm.
I it's not even close to being as rewarding. Because with the horses, we don't just talk about change, we literally get to watch people make significant cellular level transformations, in this work that we do. So I think both the funding and the awareness are both the biggest challenges. And so
Yeah.
hopefully, this campaign, which is focused on hopefully doing, adding to both of those areas, is going to be a support.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they don't really have marketing dollars. I don't know that I've seen any of these organizations actively market what they have because they are really just pouring into their facilities and the people that they're working with.
And it's
I
creating a
think
niche for these horses, like their love for horses and their love for the humans. And this is providing a niche for horses who don't have a home anywhere else. Most of this work is for horses to be themselves. It's about the relationship and the connection with them. And so horses that can no longer be ridden, or this is their second career, and now they have a place in our society again and a role.
Yeah.
So we're really excited. Again, that's why Zoetis is such a good partner in all this too, because they need care and support, especially in their later years. And so hopefully we can all come together to support the horses who are, of course, supporting us.
I think
Yeah.
that's been one of the coolest parts, sort of unanticipated benefits of this campaign is just the ripple effect it has, not just on the individual horses and the individual humans, but also on the sustainability of the equine industry, right? We've talked about the expense that goes into keeping and caring for horses and with issues like land use and access and ensuring that there's a pipeline of future horse people, as more humans benefit from these services as these programs become more and more sustainable and widespread. That also benefits the veterinarians that support the horses. It benefits the farriers that are caring for their hooves. It benefits all of the other equine professionals who are able to make sure that these horses get the best care and the best upkeep possible while they're doing that important work of helping the humans in the programs heal and thrive. And so it's been this just wonderful cycle of benefiting the horses, benefiting the humans, and then also getting to have another really, I think, important um, driver for the equine industry. Like Lynn said, this is such a growing area of equine activity and engagement. And that's so important when we think about continuing to find ways to have horses in all of our lives in the years to come.
And I know several organizations that I have personally interacted with. A lot of the horses they have are horses that weren't wanted anymore. Rescue horses, kill pen horses, Mustangs. A lot of times the difficult horses that maybe aren't so ready to just jump right into the human world are actually really incredible at this work where you have to slow down a little bit and step back a little bit. How have you guys personally benefited from your time with your horses? I know we have some Mustangs in there. Lynn, I believe you have a Mustang that has had an impact in your life. But what impact have the horses had for you guys personally on a personal level with just the struggles that we all face with life?
Yeah. Yeah, well, yes, my life has taken many interesting turns as life does, and so,
Yeah.
I've actually with all my work in this work, I've always worked with the equine professionals who have the horses, and I work in partnership with them and very much respect and honor the training that those who have horses go through and need to really care for their horses properly and with ethical considerations. And so, but yeah, needless to say, and Jen was in this part of this journey with me too. Like I was at a Mustang summit where they had some yearlings and they were kind of they had Mustang trainers who kind of go over and show what they might do with the Mustangs. And so they're not worked with Mustangs at all, but I got really drawn to this Mustang. and,
It
and
happens.
funny enough, interestingly enough, somehow I left with having adopted this Mustang, not planned and all. And there was a whole fun chain of events, but it was kind of it's been an amazing journey. And I do think, I know this is, with this being a Mustang focus, podcast, I do think there's something very special about Mustangs and partly their curiosity and their heart. All horses have that, and I don't mean to like say
Yeah.
that they don't,
Yeah.
but
Agreed.
this particular horse, what stood out for me was I could tell he was just so curious. And curiosity is such a powerful value in doing this work with relationships and connection and working with people with different struggles. And I could also, so like, rather than being so frightened, it seemed like he was more just like, I'm not sure, but I'm also curious. And there was something about him. And so his name is Milkshake. And,
Love it.
and I've had the journey, as I mentioned, not being a horse trained person myself. I've been around horses, but I have no like formal training. Got to have a lot of firsts. So between Milkshake and I, we got to do the first, like how to accept a halter and how to lead and, and how to do those kinds of things. And we got to go through this journey together. And I had guidance in this from a wonderful program in Ohio called Hooves. They work with veterans. And he's still there now in Ohio. That's his home now. He loves it, and he's getting to live his dream. But we got to go through a bunch of really neat learning journeys together of figuring things out, developing a relationship. Life is scary, and we were both scared. We were both scared taking these next
Yeah.
steps. And he taught me many things in that, which just one quick example. We had to move the horses from one pen to another across the way because of mud and the intense mud that was happening. And he hadn't been led before. And so now we're all of a sudden in this kind of time crunch of we have to get them from this location to that location. And so I was working with him to, and I have him on a long lunge line lead as the lead, but we're trying to walk and we're taking it very slowly. And at one point he wouldn't move. And I was like, oh man, and I could tell he was scared, but there was this belief system in my mind that, make the wrong things hard and the right things easy. And I was thinking like, okay, I was kind of a little ahead of him and I kind of moved to the side and I was trying different things, but in my mind, I was like, no, I shouldn't go pet him right now because that would be rewarding the behavior I don't want. And then there was this other, because that's what I've been taught. But then there's this
Yeah.
other part of me that said, he's scared and he needs comfort. And all of a sudden, like I said, I'm going to love him and comfort him and pet him and say, yes, I share the fear and it's okay. We're going to do this together. And then he started taking steps. And it was a lesson for me. What I learned in that was how often I go back to the shoulds and, oh, other people say this is what you're supposed to do. When I felt in my heart, in this moment, in this scenario at least, we need to just treat each other as individual souls that just maybe we have unique needs we have right here, right now. And I'm so grateful I
Yeah.
listened to that side of myself when so often, many times, I might listen to the shoulds side of myself. And so I think these are just the kind of lessons that we learn working with these beings. And I think Mustangs are just, to me, have a special place in my heart with that. So.
Yeah. They're great. They're really good at undoing our conditioning and being like, maybe you don't know as much as you thought you did."
Oh, yeah. Definitely that.
Yeah. How about you, Jen? Any special horses that have impacted you?
Wow. When I think about the through line of my life, I mean, really, horses have been that from my earliest childhood to competing to making major life decisions around being able to ride and continue to have horses in my life as I embarked on my career journey. To obviously the chance to come to Zoetis in this role and get to combine my personal passion with professional opportunity. I can't think of a time in my life where horses haven't been the thing that I went to through adversity, through excitement, through all the good things, through the challenging things. I think, like Lynn was saying, they have an incredible way of keeping you humble. They have an incredible way of keeping you grounded. Um, I'm not maybe the most patient person, but you quickly learn working with horses that if you don't have patience, you're not going to have much at all. Things happen on their time. And if you try to press them, there's no shortcuts or quick fixes with horses. And so I love Lynn's story of the leading. I can think of many similar moments of, trying to get a horse on the trailer or trying to get a horse to stand at a mounting block and really getting to just take a step back and ask what's happening, what are they feeling, what am I feeling, and then sort of working from there versus just trying to get from point A to point B. um, now obviously busy career, travel a lot. But, I really do make time to ride 5 or 6 days a week, visit my horse Max. And often I'll find, I'll get up in the morning and I'll wake up with that brain buzz of all the things that need to get done and how are there only 24 hours in the day. And oh, maybe I don't have time to go to the barn, think of how productive I could be. And I thinking all that as I'm driving. And then I get to the barn and it's like everything just stops and I get to be present. And invariably, as I'm driving back, I feel so much lighter. I feel so much clearer about, what I need to do today. And I have this sense of peace with me that wouldn't be possible without that time with horses. So they're incredible. And they keep you on your
Yeah.
toes.
Yeah. It doesn't always make sense. If you're looking at it logistically, you think, I don't know, is it really worth it? But the benefits they give us, even though they're hard to put into words a lot sometimes, are really pretty amazing. And on that note, a little bit, let's maybe talk a little bit about the mental health aspect, because here we should have more resources than ever before for us to be the healthiest we've ever been mentally. We have access to so much knowledge and information. And yet, as I have certainly found, and I think you guys have both seen, it turns out that one of the things we need to do is to go back to something that is very nature based, untouched by man more than a lot of the rest of our lives. What do you guys think it is about the horses that are providing us with something we need that we're not getting elsewhere, despite all the knowledge and information and research and statistics and medications?
Oh, I I mean, I think there's just an intangible, right? There's a lot of pieces, but I think they add up to a whole that's greater than the sum of their parts. There's their size. There's the fact that they're prey animals. I think often when we think about other pets, a dog or a cat, they're carnivores, right? And so they're wired very differently. But horses are prey animals, and that has them respond and engage to their world in a little bit of a different way. That sort of fight or flight instinct is in them, and I think that has probably a lot of implications on how they make humans feel and be present. That sense of power yet vulnerability is something that I'm always very struck with working with horses. That on the one hand, they have the power to hurt you, intentionally or unintentionally, and yet on the other hand, they're these incredibly delicate, almost fragile creatures, both in terms of their ability to hurt themselves sometimes, and also
Yeah.
their sort of engagement with the world, right? Like they could be completely calm, and then maybe there's a plastic bag floating along the ground, and it's oh my gosh, is it's back to that. Is that a cougar in the corner waiting for me? But I think
Yeah.
that's what makes them so present and in the moment, and I think that's what we all crave in a world where there's 1,000 screens, 1,000 inputs of information. It feels like every second. With horses, you just kind of have to stop and breathe and be present because that's how they're living. And I would imagine that that's why we feel all of these benefits that we do working with them.
Yeah, I love that, Jen, and I mean, I love this question too because it's like, yeah, we have everything you could possibly think. We are so, I
We
guess,
should have it figured out.
spoiled, I guess, in this world with
Yeah.
what we get
Yeah.
to the modern technology and everything we get to enjoy. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Yet why is this happening? That there's people are suffering more than ever before, it feels like.
Yeah.
And I think, Jen, to me, that really is what hit it on the head is engagement. When we're in front of a screen with all the benefits that does bring to us as well, we get to connect and we get to share knowledge and ideas and communication with each other. It's not a whole body engagement experience. Being outside, you feel the sunlight, you feel the wind, you interact with a 3D another being, and then these horses that exactly, I feel like the speed of information, the speed of screens, the speed of everything. And even though horses are known for their speed with horsepower, and yet at the
Yeah.
same time, like you were saying, Jen, they slow us down. They help us breathe. We connect at that cellular level, whether it's the heart energy or all those different things that are discussed. It's we do slow down and our whole body is impacted. Like if I'm depressed, my body itself is even usually hunched over. I'm looking down. And what do horses have us do? We look up, we stretch, we reach. It just changes us physically. And I think any kind of health needs to involve our whole body, not just our eyes and our ears and our brain looking at a screen. And I think so many people aren't getting that anymore in general. And of course, there's a lot of discussion and research to support just getting outside for a 10-minute walk, a few times a week makes a difference. But then you add in some of these other engaging interactions and relationships like what horses can give us is just compounds the benefits. And so I think just deliberately trying to provide this to our world, it needs it because we're settling into a new way of living. And so I think we have to be more consciously making a point to like get off the couch, including the therapist couch. Let's get off the couch and let's get outside and let's engage in a real, natural, whole body way. And horses just add those other benefits of slowing us down and just, I don't know, bringing in their connection. So,
Yeah. No, I was thinking that exact thing this morning as I was going out with the horses is like, you can't be inside with horses. You have to go out into nature. You have to be, you're usually dirty afterwards, have dirt or hair or something on you, but you can't sit in a tidy, easily controlled environment. You have to go outside. You have to, whether it's hot or cold or whatever the weather might be. Um, and you have to get up. You can't just be sitting there. So even some of those small things, I think, carry benefit because we're so far removed from that where we could literally just live in a chair or on a couch for the most part in the world today.
yeah, we recently did a live through our other company, Arenas for Change, and on cold weather, working in cold weather with equine-assisted services. And I thought the guests shared a really neat story there with Acres for Life in Minnesota, where it gets very, very cold. And they
Hmm.
were working with an addictions group, and they were coming out. It was very cold out, and they're like, "All right, suit up, let's go." They're like, "What? Why? It's so cold. Well, we don't want to go out there." And she said, "Well, when you needed drugs or alcohol, did you go out in the cold to get those?" "Oh, yeah, did you?" Um,
Yeah.
so recovery is no different. When if we want something and we need to do something, we're gonna do it no matter the difficulty and the challenges, and recovery's that way too. And so they're like, "Oh, okay, we'll go on out there." But I think you're right, it's just those little life subtle experiences of taking care of horses or being with horses that you don't even realize all those benefits that add up into the whole.
it just made me think as well. I think we live in a world where it's easy to look at things and feel like you're seeing perfection, whether or not that's actually the case. But you can sort of cultivate an image of a life, of a career, of a physique, whatever it is that may or may not be realistic and may or may not, in fact, be real. But horses, I feel like there's never any such thing as perfection. There's always another stall to muck. There's another bucket to fill. There's the horse that you just cleaned and bathed that now suddenly is covered in mud again because she found the first puddle. And obviously working with horses, whether it's through, equine assisted mental health services or whether it's through riding, whatever, however you're engaging, that there's always more to be done. There's always another breakthrough. There may be a plateau, there may be a setback, and then you move forward. And that's part of the satisfaction of it, I think, being with horses. And so I think there's something about them that sort of frees you from that notion of achieving completion or achieving perfection. And it just puts you in this moment of being, and knowing that there's always more to the journey. And whether it's a great day or whether it's a challenging day, that, there'll be more days ahead. I think that's very different than what we're maybe confronted with in other parts of life.
Yeah, and I think even that work that is required with horses is something that can be really therapeutic. Lots of people will talk about the way your mind is clear, where you're out mucking stalls or cleaning corrals. And again, maybe going back to the idea where you can slow down and have a little bit of space for your mind to function for a minute without so much input.
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing I feel like I've heard and from talking to other practitioners of what the horses do for clients and what they share it does for them. One is how they feel so much more peaceful. So the word peace comes up a lot. And the second
Mhm.
is I feel like I'm reconnecting to myself again. And so those are the two things I feel like I hear the most that clients share.
And in your experience, you've been doing this a long time with horses and mental health piece. What different types of conditions and disease have the horses benefited people from what you've seen across the organizations that you've worked with and interacted with?
I mean, so there are organizations out there working with probably every need you can possibly identify from, like I said, your typical mental health struggles and needs and trauma and all, and then also, you know, learning to read, helping with their school, any kind of school challenges and struggles, helping teams with organizations and better leadership or better connection as a team. So I think it really, just basic like personal growth. Like maybe I'm actually doing pretty good in life, but I feel like I'm ready for a next step or a next level. I'm searching for something. I'm not quite sure what it is. Like all these kind of scenarios we have found these programs are working with and having tremendous success with, and more research that's coming up out around these programs that's also supporting that transformation, that success as well. So, like I said, there's probably just in the U.S. alone over 1,000 programs in our campaign, the Horses for Mental Health campaign, and this year's fifth annual campaign. We are directly partnering with 130 programs across 36 states and 6 countries.
Wow.
And so, that we're working with them, providing resources to help, with the marketing, like we shared earlier. These are small
Yeah.
programs that they don't have the resources to do effective marketing or, public relations or,
Yeah.
any
And the
kind of
time and
digital
energy.
social media support, how to tell their
Hmm.
stories. And so we put together videos. Thanks again to Zoetis' support and all this. We put those stories together in a video form that can be shared so people can understand this is what horses bring that's unique to this journey of our own mental health and overall well-being. And so we do that. So we have 130 programs directly participating this year. Over the 5 years, we've supported just over 200 programs and have raised over $2 million to help support these programs. And so that's but back to they're working with about everything any kind of challenge or just overall well-being support that you can imagine. And I've personally seen it be really effective with all of them. I would share that the thing I'm most impacted by is the clients who have tried literally everything else.
Hmm.
And they still are suffering. And then they come to these programs and have found that peace and that reconnection to self and have found ways to kind of start moving forward through the darkness in their lives in a way that other things haven't helped. And again, everything is all part of the whole picture. And it's just been really cool to see that this has been something that where people struggle elsewhere, it really has made an impact.
Yeah, that is pretty incredible. Go ahead, Jen. Mhm.
I'll share just a story to build on that because I agree that's at the end of the day just so powerful when you think about people who maybe have lost hope or feel like there just isn't a solution out there for them, and then they encounter this and it's game changing and life changing. Um, Something pretty special that happened directly as a result of this campaign. 2 years ago now, Lynn came and spoke at our Zoetis national sales meeting with a broader group of colleagues beyond just our equine division. And, got to share about the organization and, the impact and, the life changing work that's happening for horses and for the humans that are benefiting from these programs. And afterwards, I had a colleague who also works at Zoetis, who I had never crossed paths with before, different part of the company, but this colleague came up and shared a very personal story about someone in their family who was having some challenges and had tried just about everything and just wasn't seeing any kind of breakthroughs. And, that person felt despair. Their family members felt despair. And they said, hey, hearing this presentation made me really want to look into these equine assisted mental health services. So supported them in finding a local organization, and have subsequently stayed in touch and was just thrilled to hear this spring that this individual now is thriving, is back on track, is enjoying life. It was a youth, and so this youth is really seeing great social engagement and just has a lot of hope and a lot of trajectory in front of them. And it was through this campaign and through hearing that message of awareness that maybe just this wasn't even an option that was on this family's radar, and getting to see that transformation in an individual as a result is just pretty incredible. And then when you multiply that by the 200 plus organizations that are part of this so far, have been part of this, and all of the clients that they serve, and the loved ones in their lives who are reaping the benefits as well, it's just pretty amazing.
Oh, oh
Yeah,
my
it is
gosh.
really
Thank
incredible.
you, Jen. I have like tears welling in my eyes because I did
I
not
know, I
know the
got chills
outcome
also.
of that story. That's like so awesome to hear.
Yeah, it's incredible. And time again, I hear stories about how it truly is life changing. And I think one of the challenges we run up against is we don't necessarily have the statistics to say the horse did this and then X, Y, and Z happened, because it's almost hard for us to identify what exactly it is. But story after story I have heard where there's an interaction with a horse and it literally changes an individual lives, like you pointed out. And then not only that person's life, but goes on to change the lives of the family and all the loved ones and friends, because something happened in that interaction that made it so these individuals could find hope again or find that peace or have that realization that, I need to change this. Just incredible story after story. Um, it's so great with your campaign because you guys are sharing those stories and making it more widespread and available. So people can understand that it is a possibility. It might be something that would work and help someone who's really struggling.
That's what we're hoping for. And yeah, again, yeah, just so appreciate people sharing. If you're listening, or anything, just share because there's people out there that need help, and this could be an avenue for them that is life changing.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, what do you guys hope to achieve? You said you kind of started with a blank piece of paper. It's clearly growing. What would be like your end goal? What is the vision if everything could just happen the way that you would like it to?
Ultimately, we hope that every person around the world knows about these services and has access to them. So, and that then there are the programs of which can provide those services for them. And that again requires more people to be trained as professionals in doing this, but also more funding to be directed to these programs to support them and increasing the access to people who really need it. And so that's what I think ultimately is our biggest goal. And then also having more places for horses to be and serve and have a role in life that are being maybe, don't have a place right now. And I know, especially we're talking about the Mustangs and that there are
Yeah.
places for them to go. And this is such an amazing space and way for horses to just live their best life and being themselves and bringing to the process and bringing to humans just what they would naturally bring. And all of it's based on choice too. These programs are horses are never forced into anything to do this. They have choice. They can participate, not participate, and it really is just about them being themselves. So I think bringing this in a bigger way to the world, both to benefit the horses and the humans. And I don't know, Jen, you probably have more to add to that.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think success ultimately is a world where no one has to suffer or endure a situation that perhaps this kind of mental health service could benefit. And, the flip side of that then is that, there's no horse that doesn't have the opportunity for a great life and a great career. Maybe it's a second career, maybe it's a horse that entered the rescue system, however, maybe it's a Mustang, however that horse came to be in one of these programs, that it has a safe, stable life and existence where its care needs are provided for, while in turn that horse is contributing meaningfully to the people that come through the programs.
Yeah, and as we talked a little bit about before, it really is a win-win because this is something that will not only help people if they can realize that there are facilities out there who offer this, and that especially if they've tried everything else and it's not working, that it might be an option to try. But also, like you say, it provides a place for the horses in our world today. And it really is a mutually beneficial relationship where the horses, like you say, these horses often have great lives where they're living in the pasture and hanging out with humans sometimes. Um, so beautiful opportunity for both us as humans to protect the horses more and for horses to give back to humans. And like you say, just basically by letting us be in their presence. It's not necessarily that anything extraordinary is being asked of them, except to be able to have that interaction with them. And a lot of times that can be absolutely transformative.
Also add, I think there's an amazing component that we have the opportunity to continue to raise visibility for, of how these programs and the horses in them can help care for the caregivers. We all know about, compassion fatigue. We talked earlier about the
Mm,
strain that, running these kinds of programs or running a
yeah,
rescue can have. Like, we also know the strain on, equine veterinarians, right? The mental health struggles that they can go through just given the demands of that work. And so I think, we're starting already to see some traction. And I know our campaign has done a great job of highlighting, that these programs can also have benefits giving back to the caregivers who themselves make them possible. Lynn, I think you've been doing some work with those who run rescues, providing some mental health guidance and support, highlighting, how to make sure that as you're supporting others, right, humans and animals, that you're filling your own
yeah,
cup. We did a really beautiful video for the initiative, I think 2 years ago now, with the equine veterinarian, highlighting how, they don't need to burn themselves out, with all they do to care for horses, right? That there's also care for them in return. And so I think maybe a third benefit of this campaign is, as we're helping humans, as we're helping the horses, also helping those caregivers who are making all of this possible, so that this really is sustainable and this really is something that everyone benefits from in the end.
I love that, Jen, so much. And really, yeah, the other vision is we're uplifting the people running these programs. And we're
yeah,
just providing that support because it's hard, anybody running a business, but these kind of businesses, there's a lot of emotions. And yeah, with carrying like a lot of these horses that have a lot of needs medically or anything like that, it's just a lot to carry. So I so appreciate you bringing that up, Jen. It's a big part of our heart is just to support these programs as well.
yeah. That's an excellent point. And I think that is one thing that the work you guys are doing is so beneficial to, is because it is bringing people together, all of these people who are working towards the same goal. And I think in the equine industry, it can sometimes be very divided. I know coming from the Mustang side, Mustangs are not looked on highly in a lot of the equine world. So we have this division, this breaking apart. And you guys are doing the exact opposite, where you're saying, let's all come together, let's all work together towards this amazing goal of helping people in their struggles and helping horses that maybe don't have a place anymore or that need that place. And yes, on top of that, helping the caregivers. I know from my experience that a lot of the people who are doing these programs are individuals who have experienced these struggles themselves. And so it's not necessarily that they have it all figured out, but they understand how powerful this is. And I think that's part of what you talked about, Lynn, about how it can be a very emotional experience doing this work because it is deeply impactful. And so the stakes are very high because you're not only helping people, but you have these horses who you care deeply about. And sometimes the logistics in life can be pretty overwhelming. So I love that you guys are also talking about that, talking about the people who are helping the horses and who are making these programs possible. Can you guys share how people can become involved, how they can connect with you guys? What are some things that they can be doing to keep this work moving forward?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Shalice. Really appreciate that. So go to horsesformentalhealth.org. And we have a lot of resources on there, including the campaign itself. So you can go to the campaign page on horsesformentalhealth.org, and you can choose a program by state. So you can see who might be in your area and just support them. You can volunteer for them. You can donate. You could become a fundraising ambassador, meaning like you're going to reach out to your network and share with your network and say, I'd like to raise money for this program and I have a goal of $500. I want to reach out to my network that I believe so strongly in that, and that spreads awareness. And so please go there and support it. It happens each May, which is Mental Health Awareness Month, so during the month of May. And also you can go there and look at the stories tab. We have the incredible videos. I love that your podcast is the touch of a Mustang, because I was thinking these stories are very touching. They're real stories. We just released our new one for this year is on honoring mothers, and prepare to get your Kleenex
Your
out.
tissues, yeah.
Get your tissues out. And I think it really, again, shows the powerful impact that these programs are making through the horses. I think it's a great thing to share with others. We have several other wonderful videos, including 3-minute actual case stories that you can watch. We have incredible celebrity influencers that are serving as ambassadors, also helping shine a light at the national level with their incredible followers. You can learn more about that. We have research. We have all sorts of things on our website. But for the campaign itself during May, it would be wonderful to just go and support one of these wonderful programs, uplift them, just even any amount. And it just says, hey, we care about you. We appreciate what you're doing. And we're going to spread the word because a lot of people need what you're doing. And I think that all makes such a huge difference. So yeah, thank you. And so horsesformentalhealth.org. And again, thank you, Jen and Zoetis, and reaching out to Zoetis. They've been the most amazing partners. And thank you for all you guys do as Zoetis Equine. And I know they can go to your website too, Jen, just to learn more about all the incredible things you guys do to ensure these horses are kept healthy. And we appreciate you. And I'll turn it to you, Jen, too, if you have anything you'd like to add.
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo everything you shared. Now it's May as we're having this conversation. Mental Health Awareness Month. Certainly, that's the focus of our campaign. If you have the opportunity to support financially, that's amazing. If you have the opportunity to support through volunteering or spreading the word or even sharing the content on your platform so that others who may not be aware of these solutions can find them. Really, all of these little steps, I think, make a huge difference in the lives of humans and horses. So definitely check it out, learn more. If you have a story or if you know someone in your life that has a story for how they've benefited from these kind of equine assisted mental health services, please reach out, share that story. I think, that's how we continue to highlight the impact, the real human impact that's happening. and hopefully we'll raise awareness together. We'll continue to create that sustainability. And then, if you're an owner, if you're running one of these programs and you're looking for horse care resources, Zoetis we have a variety of care resources and support, whether you're looking for vaccination and deworming protocols, or guidance for dealing with things like senior horses, or maybe horses struggling with some lameness issues, or mares, foals. We really want to arm caregivers with the resources to make sure that the horses in these programs and horses everywhere are getting the care that they deserve. So support the campaign. Please take advantage of the resources we have, and hopefully we'll get to that state where every human who can benefit from these programs has access and awareness of them, and the horses in them continue to thrive.
That's beautiful, Jen. Thank you. Yeah, and that was another social media for those of you guys who do that. Follow, like, share Horses for Mental Health and Zoetis Equine. We're sharing stuff throughout May, and so please share, spread the word. That would be wonderful.
Absolutely. And I just have to say, I love that you guys focused on mothers for the latest video that you did, because I think the reality is that everybody has struggles that they're going to come face to face with. And it doesn't have to be that you have to be in a particular population. Your struggles are still legitimate and real, and the horses are there for anybody, whether it is a veteran who just came home from war, someone who has lost someone they love, mothers who are trying to do their very best, to do the best that they can for their kids, children who are struggling in school. Like, there is just no limit there. It's for everybody that has a struggle at any time. I think the horses are there for anybody who wants to give it a try and just spend time with them in whatever capacity they might have access to them, and especially these programs who are doing really incredible things. So I want to thank both of you guys for being here, for sharing your experiences and the work that you have done, and also how you have seen that impact people's lives. I think this is such an important work to do. It is definitely a very powerful resource that we have that is not known nearly as much as it should be. So I really appreciate you guys putting your time and heart and energy and finances and company finances into this program to support the idea that horses are a resource that more people should have access to, and to keep these programs alive and to help people know about them. And thank you for taking your time to come on here and talk about it. It was great talking with you and just hearing more about how impactful this program is and your guys' organization and the good work you're doing. I think the fact that Zoetis is putting their backing behind a program like this truly shows that their heart is caring for animals, because this is something that changes lives for both the animals and for the people.
Thank you for joining us and learning about horses that heal and the humans who help them. We hope you'll continue with us on this journey. We'd love for you to subscribe on your favorite platform and follow The Touch of a Mustang on any of the major social media outlets. Please share with your friends, anyone who loves horses, or anyone who might be struggling and could benefit from this message. If you have felt the healing power of horses or help them in their divinely appointed mission, please reach out. We want to hear your story. As we say goodbye, always remember that the horse is always there to help you heal.